I have a bad feeling about this. We're on the cusp of another Indiana Jones catastrophe. They're releasing a video game called Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and we've talked about it a little bit over on that game place, but I would like to say that there are plenty of issues that are wrong with this upcoming game, and none of them are good for Indy, including the fact that they're kind of trying to step away from firearms usage almost completely, which doesn't sound very much like Indiana Jones. It also seems that you've got an intellectual equal that happens to be a woman, just like Phoebe Waller Bridge. I have a feeling this is going to go badly. Taking a look at the article from Spencer over at Bounding Into Comics, you can see that Indiana Jones and the Great Circle producer says new companion Gina Lombardi, never heard of her, serves as an intellectual equal to Indy. In a tease of the upcoming game that sure to raise a few hackles, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle producer Craig Derrick has revealed that the game's narrative will present Indy's new companion as the archaeologist's intellectual equal. Why did she even need to be present? Indy doesn't always need a lady with him, does he? Usually not. They're usually a damsel in a dress type, and this is not the case here. The overall Lucasfilm executive producer, whose credits, in addition to Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, also include Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and Acolyte television series. And you saw that after a few seasons of Mandalorian, everything else referenced there is quite garbage. They offered their insight into the soon-to-be introduced Lombardi in a general production interview given to his employer official website. Beginning with the reflection of the game's overall presence, it talks about this magical great circle where everything's kind of connected together to take you on a globe-trotting journey that, is basically McMuffin after McMuffin after McMuffin. So he was thrilled with the idea of the overall concept. He says, the more I learned, the more fascinated I became with the idea. We delved into that kind of MacGuffin, and it could be linked to all these sites and how each location would be authentically represented within the context of Indy's life. So they're just kind of going around. He thinks they're world building. I don't know. I'm not going to judge the game itself on its gameplay mechanics until I play it, if I do at all. Obviously, with this kind of marketing and everything they're basing it on, I'm not really interested in any way. And this is another Machine Games disaster, which I think you might remember Machine Games from Wolfenstein's Youngblood, which was absolutely terrible. Maybe a little bit too experimental, but at the same time, just absolutely awful characters. And a story that really wasn't very good and a very poor follow up to the previous games. Of course, all of that was after they started to drive all the way to agenda driven stuff, which they've fully realized with this latest Indiana Jones title. But we'll move on here through the article. Turning to how his desire for character authenticity was ultimately translated into the Great Circle's actual gameplay, he detailed from uncovering and investigating the central mystery of the story to tackling unique situations along the way, outsmarting traps designed to keep the world's secrets hidden. He wanted the primary focus to be on using their brains before their brawn, although punching bad guys is a lot of fun. In many ways, we envisioned the game as a spiritual successor to Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis and other classic adventure games. It's about thinking, discovering, tracking down clues, and sometimes just a bit of luck to get through the various traps, tombs, and threats encountered, all while capturing the over-the-top Saturday matinee feel that defines an Indiana Jones adventure. Well, didn't do good with the last Wolfenstein. We'll see. As the brief interview drew to a close, Derek finally turned to the topic of aforementioned Lombardi and her role in Jones's upcoming adventure, saying, Gina is the perfect ally for Indy. She's endlessly curious, incredibly sharp, and has a personal stake in the journey. She not only challenges and assists the player, but also serves as an intellectual equal to Indy, bringing depth to the adventure. The adventure doesn't need an additional person that will bring depth. The adventure itself will bring depth. Gina adds a personal dimension to the story, making the journey about more than just finding another artifact for a museum. I believe players are really going to connect with her and root for her story. Hmm. Ultimately, whether or not Lombardi turns out to be a generic Lucasfilm standard girl boss or characters whose intelligence is weighed out in equal parts with her own unique flaws and struggles remains to be seen when Indiana Jones and the Great Circle hits Xbox SS and PC on December 9th and PlayStation 5 sometime in the early half of 2025. Look, this is never a good sign. Keeping the guns out of the game is a whole different concept and probably one that a lot of players are going to be a little frustrated by. If you frustrate a gamer too much, they'll give the game a bad review. And if it's not authentic to the game experience that they expect, they'll give the game a bad review. I foresee a lot of very bad reviews. One of the weirdest things, though, is that the continual destruction of Indiana Jones isn't complete. After the Dial of Destiny movie flopped harder than anything I have seen in a long time and may actually be the number one flop by Disney ever, I have to ask myself, why would they let this be developed the way it's being developed without a little bit of oversight and say, hey, we can't go girl bossing again? It doesn't work out well for us. Indiana Jones is an iconic character, and he is a bit of a womanizer. In fact, he's had many women. At one point in time, he had one woman and ended up having a kid, and they went about destroying his fatherhood and everything else in the last film. Unfortunately, I don't consider the last two films being actual Indiana Jones film, so I'm very content with my trilogy. I'm also very content with the Indiana Jones games we've gotten before, despite a couple of their most recent ones having some serious flaws. Honestly, they seem to have some great talent involved in this project, especially for the voices, with Troy Baker getting a chance to really shine with his vocal talents here in replicating what sounds authentically like Indiana Jones. At the end of the day, gamers just want something that's challenging, exciting, immersive, and familiar. This is one of the reasons why Saber Interactive's CEO kind of went on a rampage against the industry in the broadest possible sense when he commented on a Asmongold video about Space Marine 2, which is a very successful entry in that franchise and definitely one that has nearly 100,000 players playing at any one time. Look, gaming industry, bring back the old familiar games, the ones that allow players to escape and are free from any kind of agenda or lecturing, and you'll go far. You'll do well. In fact, I imagine Saber Interactive's about to do very, very well, as opposed to what's happening over at Embracer as they slowly implode in real time, with studios either folding and or being sold off just to support the enormous debt load that Embracer took on when it acquired all these entertainment properties and then ran them straight in the ground. But now I ask you, what do you think? Are you going to go out and play Indiana Jones and the Great Circle? Is this a definite must-have for your catalog? You want to put this on your shelves and play it? Or is this something you'll leave on the shelf at your favorite big box store or games location, wherever you are? Is this a day one digital download? Or is this a $5 wire rack value buy that you just throw a couple bucks at to see if it was good about 6 months after it comes out? With some embarrassingly high price points for this game, I would probably wait it out quite some time before I put $1 in here, and I would first listen to all the word of mouth, which I think I'll be doing before I even consider picking this up to play. It may not even be worth a review. Let me know your thoughts, as I mentioned, down in the comments section below. And while you're down there, hit the like button. Go ahead and share this around here. Make sure the notification bell is on and all notifications are on so you don't miss anything, because there's a lot here and there's a lot over on That Gameplays, the gaming companion channel for mine. I think you'll enjoy it over there as well. On that note, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, wash your hands because it's good hygiene. It truly is. And until next time, see ya.